Guys, look, it's really good to see you all, and even more importantly, it's really a pleasure to have the guests that we have out here today. I'm going to introduce our moderator for today's discussion, Louis Hilliard, and he's going to tell you who our guests are if you don't know them. All right, please welcome everybody to the stage. Louis Hilliard, our moderator.
Welcome to recital class. Welcome to recital class. You guys are fortunate. When I attended Xavier, we didn't have the stadium seats. We just were the folding chairs and would disturb everybody as we came in. This is the 6th annual, it would be the 8th, but COVID happened. Music business seminar. I'm not gonna take a whole lot of time introducing myself. Some of you already know me. We work together on different projects. So I am a Xavier Music alumnus. I'm proud of that. I try to give back when I can and do as much work as I can to help students that were like me, basically me sitting there and all this stuff I would get from people that would come in and speak. So today, without further ado, I always try to make it exciting, like somebody who is in the industry, people who are doing amazing things in the industry. And we have two amazing people that are with us today. Give it up for Pell, rapper, producer, record label owner, world renowned. Give it up for Casmay, vocalist, songwriter, also world renowned, NBC The Voice, right? So we're gonna just jump right into the question. So first, Pell, if you could tell them a little bit about what you do, who you are, your background, and everything like that.
Okay.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
all right.
Y'all can hear me. There's no.
We got you. No, it's just a button. Or turn of a knob.
Yeah. Check. Hey, bass. No. What's good? My name is Pell. From here, from Gentilly. I am a multi-hyphenate rapper, singer, producer, executive, owner of, and co-founder with my boy Juan over there, and Nate Cameron of Global Warming. And that's a short of it. So that's what I do.
You got so much. Give it up. All right, for my little introduction, I just need y'all to snap y'all fingers like this. Come on, yeah. My name is Casmay, I'm from New Orleans. Been singing, acting, dancing since I started crawling. I got an accent, cause I'm from the South. It sounds good to hear my name coming out your mouth. You see, the stage is where I was born to be. Just come to a show and you'll see what I mean. I got a band of dancers, we be clowning. There ain't no limits and there ain't no boundaries, oh. Ever since I was 2 years old, my mama said my face had a glow. My daddy said I sing from my soul, and one day I'll touch hearts across the globe. Ever since I was 2 years old, my mama said my face had a glow. My daddy said I sing from my soul, and one day I'll be known across the globe. Yeah.
Hey.
Yep. Born and raised right here in New Orleans, Louisiana. Traveled the world, had a chance to do acting and singing and fashion design as well. I've been blessed to do a lot of things. I've always just wanted to use my gifts to bless others, and so I've started businesses. I'm an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, like this man right here next to me, and just blessed to be here with you guys on today. Yeah.
All right. Got a group happening right here. So okay, it's right there, another group created on Xavier's campus. Cassidy, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah.
You may not remember this story, but after Katrina, I evacuated to
ATL.
Atlanta, and then I got I got a call for my own band. You were in Nashville, is that it?
I was in Nashville at first.
And you were doing, was it on Tuesday or Wednesday nights?
I was doing Tuesday nights.
It was a Tuesday night event, and she called me out of the blue. And she was like, hey, get your band out here and go. And I'm doing this event, you should blah, blah, blah. We didn't go. My bad. We didn't work it out. We didn't work it out. Because, look, my excuse was I was a music teacher during the day, and I didn't, anyway.
That's okay.
But moving on, then you moved to Atlanta. And I remember when you moved to Atlanta, there had been people there for a minute, but within months in Atlanta, everybody was saying your name.
Yeah.
So what I want to talk to first is how is it, and this is what I respect most about you. Everywhere, anytime anybody asks me about Casmay, I was like, look, Casmay, out of just about anybody I know, when she's in that ocean or pond or in that environment, she's gonna make her own space. So there's a lot of business acumen and things that you've done to accompany your ability to sing and hit the stage that most people don't have. Like you hear with your assistant today, I'm just like, okay, oh, here we go, you know. But talk a little bit about not only the ability to perform, having the knowledge and the expertise to perform, but also the grind and the mentality behind supporting your art.
Man, I was taught when I was younger, like if somebody won't give you a chance, create your own opportunity. And so even with that event, it was something that I created because I felt like there needed to be more opportunities for artists to showcase their own original music, not just like being a cover band or performing in a restaurant, singing other people's songs. So for me, it's always been about like, if somebody is not listening to you or paying attention to you, what can you do to set the stage for yourself? And once you get that opportunity, pull other people in, because you can't do it by yourself. And I always feel like a lot of the opportunities that I've been afforded was because people love my spirit, they love my energy, and that matters. Like having a gift is one thing, but what is your energy? What is the energy that you're giving off? I would be on set with Tyler Perry just as an extra, and I would always find a way to the front. They'd be like, they'll give me a speaking role. I went from making $100 a day to doing the $800 day just because of the energy. And so for me, knowing that I was different, knowing that everybody may not accept it right off the bat, but still walking in my truth and then hustling for myself, like it's about the work ethic. And I think for me, I never quit. I never gave up. You know, I'm like, okay, I moved to Atlanta. I had no idea what kind of job I was gonna have. I just knew I wanted to be around my people. And so I literally did like an audition for something. They loved me. And from there, I just made sure that anywhere I went, I left good energy with people, that I never cut corners. I never backstabbed anybody. Like it's the character and it's the integrity that I really feel like kind of helped me with my business side of things. Because people don't want to work with a diva. You know, they don't want to work with somebody who's always acting Hollywood. So I think for me, just being who I was and always being true and authentic to really wanting to use my gift to be a blessing to help people. I think that's a big part of my success.
So I want to go to Pell because you've done, give it up, you guys can clap for because Pell, you've done a lot of the same things. You've been put on very big stages compared to some of the greatest, not saying you're not one of them, but you have always carved a huge niche for your brand. And the first time we chopped it up, it was at the studio for real, and we really got into it. You were working on your project. Talk about like what are you thinking? Like hip hop, you know, is the number one everything. It has been for many years. Talk about what you had to do to carve out like who you are, some of the moves you had to make, your thought process behind everybody's going left, I'm going right, and this is how I'm going to do it.
Right. That's a good question. I think initially I started with live performance because especially in rap, now everybody can make a song and upload it to like SoundCloud. Especially at that time, everybody was uploading to SoundCloud. You know, putting it on Twitter was popping, or was just starting to pop. And I think because everybody was running to the internet with their music, I realized that there was a void in, you know, the live space when it came to touring. So we made sure that, you know, within, and this is something that Nasby Phipps even told me. He was like, you gotta go outside of New Orleans or Mississippi, where I was at the time. I went to Mississippi State, and he was telling me you gotta go around a 500-mile radius and make sure that you're connected with everybody that doesn't check their Twitter, Instagram, or doesn't know how to look for you on these sites. And I think that was such an important thing that even in Starkville, Mississippi, I was on the circuit. Like I was doing a show every weekend, probably for at least 2 semesters before having enough attention to do an East Coast run with no like professional recorded music. It's like everything was recorded in the dorm room, mixed in the dorm room, no master, none of that. Like it's just sheer passion and, you know, a lot of hours that we put in to make that music. And I was blessed to learn a lot during that process too, of how people responded to my music before it became time for me to release a professional record or something, because now I know how it translates in real life before, going to people who don't know me, who don't see me. And I think that was how I initially started. And the brand got strong because I was doing that simultaneously and building with people before the music came out. So by then everybody already knew the person. And I have a theory even about shows where it's like, I don't even think that, with all these stages that I've been on, everybody's just there just to hear the song. They want to connect with you. They want a part of what's going on in your life to show itself in that moment. So that they're like, dang, remember when Pill did, now I really want to listen to that next album. Because there's so much music out there, there's so many talented people, and we goats, in our own right, everybody's goats. And but it's just about making that extra connection, and that's how people see the brand. That's how people see the person, and that's how they support you. Kind of like what you were saying about making those good relationships, because there's nothing without it.
So every time we do this, and you guys who have come to this before, I always say it's relationships, 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 relationships. Your relationships with people are what's gonna give you the opportunity. Now, once you get through the door, it's up to you to deliver, but when I was in school, I practiced a lot, and then I was waiting on people to discover me. Like, oh, I'm gonna practice, I'm gonna work hard, and I'm waiting on somebody to discover me, and they'll find my talent, and they'll do all of that. But what I was learning very quickly is that my friend, who is also practicing very hard, but being very vocal, very present, very face in the place, very all of these things, putting the extra spice into it, was getting more shows, getting more opportunities. And I want to talk about two things. I want to talk about first the grind. Like, I still say this today when I'm working with younger musicians. It's like, I remember I tell a Xavier story. Xavier didn't have this building when I started school. We had 2 trailers in a parking lot across from, it's St. Mike, in the St. Mike parking lot. We had 2, and one room was a classroom, and the other was just practice rooms, and we had like the 3rd floor of the administration building. We had 1 room, or 2 rooms, and that was it. We didn't have a building. So, but I remember that building so well because on that parking lot, they used to do homecoming in any event, they would do, and I remember one time I was in there practicing something, and like everybody's partying outside. It's like, and I'm just like, man, I'm in here practicing. They partying, I'm practicing. But I thought in my mind, like, it's going to pay off because I'm going to work hard, I'm going to get my talent, and be prepared for when opportunity comes. I was right about that. But what it took me a lot later, what I realized as I moved away from New Orleans and started living in other cities and doing music in other cities, that people who were quote unquote less talented than I was didn't put as much work as I did. They were moving ahead further because they had relationships. They had people that they could say, I created this, listen to it. Come to my show, hey, we were hanging out, why don't you come to my show? We had the relationships, and that's when it started clicking. I only have half of the story. So speak to each one of you for really quickly, the hard work you put in. Like, I've definitely seen both of you work. I've seen the stage, and just from the stage, and then to get to where it is on the stage, and then the recording, the level of work that has to be put in to even understand how to manage that, how to get to the stage, how to get the banner, how to get everything moving, takes a lot of work and a lot of self-discipline. So I want to first talk about the self-discipline of getting the tools to move forward. Then I want to talk to the part about like what L.A. Reid said when they asked him, and I tell this story every time I do this too, said, why did y'all sign Usher? And he said, he's not the greatest singer. No, he's like, we wanted the great singer. We could go to any church on Sunday morning, black church on Sunday morning, and find a great singer. He's like, but he was a star, and we worked with all the rest. Now, that's not to say that, Usher's horrible as a singer, but no, there's definitely people who could sing, Usher under a table, but it was more, it was, exactly. So first talk about the discipline, but then also you gotta come out of your shell. You gotta start making like you guys are at school now, make mistakes now, you know, with your career, with your brand. You can reinvent all the time, you know? So who's first? Who wants to go? So discipline and then the spikes, then the spikes.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so for me, I'm a researcher, y'all. Like, I've been in the industry 23 years now. I know I look young, right? I know. But I'm a future mama, so it's time, okay? I'm 41 now. But yeah, so for me, I always, like, we didn't have YouTube back then, but I was always researching and finding people to follow, like mentorships and things like that. I stayed, like, it's like I breathed this. Like, I knew that I wanted to be different. I wanted to create my own stage set and design. Like, since I was 3, well, not 3, so I started singing at 2. Wrote my first song in 3rd grade, and my mom said I always wrote notes, and I said, okay, I want my outfit to look like this. I want my sisters to dress like this. They singing behind me. I always had a plan, and I think having a plan is so important. Like, start writing your notes out, like Pinterest boards, like vision boards. All of those things really help me to stay focused, and you have to be tunnel vision. It was hard for me because I had so many gifts. Like, I could sing, I could write, I could dance, I can act, I can design clothes. So throughout the journey, I'm not gonna say it's been easy just to figure out where I just knew I wanted to be a vessel, and I knew that I wanted to use all my gifts, like, to be a star. I wanted to, you know, really shine. When it's time for me to get my shine on, I want people to be like, oh, not only did she sound good, but her energy was great. Look at her outfit. Like, all of the package, the whole package matters. And in order for it to be on point, you have to spend time planning. You have to pull people in who are great. If you're not good at something, that's fine. But for me, I didn't have the money. So I had to learn how to do my own graphic design. I've been doing my own websites for 20 years. I've been doing all my own flyers. I went and bought a camera because I was like, I'm tired of paying people $50 every time they come take pictures of me. I gave it to the person sitting on the front row saying, could you mind taking some pictures of me during my show? You know, and I started building my brand. But the hustle and the work ethic, it has to be there. You can't wait on anybody else to do it for you. It's in me. I can't go to sleep at night without writing notes. Even now, like, I know what I want, and sometimes you may not know what you want. So get a mentor or something, somebody you can start looking up to and kind of, like, you know, following their path to really get you going. And it's how bad you want it. If you want it, you can get it. You have to learn some things. You can do it. I have faith in you. I did it. You know, so that's I had to be disciplined to do that.
That's real. That's so real, especially with the discipline part, because I feel like oftentimes, even my story in terms of doing all the things that I do now, I feel when I first started, I just made sure I really just wanted to rap good. Like, I really just wanted to, not even at first be great, but rap good. And a lot of, like, my planning didn't happen until after I started making mistakes. Because the way I like to try is, like, to fail upwards, you know what I mean? Because you're gonna fail multiple times. Like, a lot of times my plans don't work out. So I try to, like, not, you know, plan for the worst, because I know that the best is usually what happens, but make sure that I leave a little bit for improvisation. It was funny, I was just reading this book, Say Yes to the Mess, recently, and it's good because y'all should check out that book if you haven't. I think it's Frank J. Barrett wrote it, and it just talks about, like, how jazz musicians and that improv that they do on stage can be translated into everyday problem solving, right? And I think that that's how my life and how my come up started, because a lot of the time I was in my dorm room recording, and we knew it was, like, trash quality, like, recordings, but it was, like, the consistency of just, like, sticking to that, like, nothing else. What the brand was, the music is good, you know what I mean? So when the artwork came out, when the clothes came out, it didn't matter because it was all tied into that thing that was really, really great, or the thing that I was most passionate about. And then, you know, I trickled down into wanting to control more than I could because I started building a team. And I think the discipline to know your limitations as well, because, you know, sometimes there's only 24 hours in a day. I think asking for help has been, like, really, it trained me to be disciplined in, like, what I do good, so that every time I step up to the plate, it's a home run. and everybody else that I have as a part of the team, you know, can do their job, because I love to put people in positions to do what they do best. But I think because of that passion for working with people and also the passion that I have for music, it was easy for me in the dorm room, like, not to go out, there were times, obviously, you got to party to make sure that people know your name, you know what I mean, and like, do your thing. I was doing that as well, but nowhere near as much as I was just locked in. Because if you have the passion for it, it's, you know, it's not work, it's like, it's your passion. And I think that that's the key. Like, that's really the key. If, like she said, if you, like Casimir said, if you really want it, you could get it. It's just about what are you willing to sacrifice in terms of that the stuff on the outside. Because all of that is always going to be there. I know people always tell you that, and you're young, you need to experience that. But nothing is as important as that discipline that you give yourself, because it does add up. It's a snowball effect, you know? And I think the discipline to stay still in a world that moves so fast is very underrated. So like, keep doing you.
And let me say this, it's important. Pell, you don't know this story. Pell, he says he fails forward, or fails up, or whatever he said. But the thing is, he really, one thing, when I first started getting hip to Pell's brand is crazy. Like, the yellow, the blue, you will always see him in his brand. That's it. But to the point where, who's calling, like, Nike, Adidas, everybody, Reebok calls him, and like, and this is a story you don't know. Somebody asked me to write something for Disney. And literally in the email, it says, could you write something like Pell? This is before I knew you. So this is from Disney. Like, could you write something? I was like, who's Pell? I didn't know he was like 3-4 years old. Like, it was all right. Had I known you at the time, I'd have been like, well, I'm just gonna call Pell and we gonna put something together. That's what we're gonna do, right? So, but I didn't know you at the time. But that's just, be smart about who you are, and it's okay to get it wrong now, but start carving that out. So I know what you're probably thinking, because this is what I used to think. And Dr. Turner, you don't remember you told me this, but I started school in the 90s here, and I'm a huge Prince fan. And I was wearing this, there it is. So I was wearing this Prince shirt that just came out. He had the gold microphone that was in the shape of the gun. And Dr. Turner walked by, you don't even remember you said this, right? He said, yeah, you got the man on your shirt. I was like, yeah. I was like, you know about that. But anyway, but this is the thing. I wanted to do that. And honestly, that's what I'm doing today. That's what I do with my life. But, okay, to graduate, I have to play Bach's A minor concerto on the vibraphones. Are you kidding me? What does that have to do with me wanting to be in a band like Prince? You know, I have to sing this thick green lab book. I have to sing do, re, mi, all of these things. I have to spend hours. I was a percussion major. So, you know, percussion, you have to learn timpani and drums and all of this stuff. And most of my time was spent actually on like snare drum and definitely mallet instruments and stuff like that. Not a whole lot on the drum set, too much. No, big band was cool. But it was like, my biggest thing was like, well, I don't want to do what they're teaching me as Xavier. I want to do what these people are doing now, and how does that translate? And I'm gonna tell you how, and I've said this before. It's what they're hitting on, is the discipline. To come from something and say, okay, I was a pretty good reader. I had a very good high school teacher. Marty Hurley's passed away now. So I knew all my drum technique. I knew all of that stuff. I knew I had all of this done. Got a pretty good drum teacher. Dr. Turner hooked me up with Herman LeBeau, great jazz drummer. So I had a lot of resources, but again, how do I connect that? Because this outside stuff that I'm doing on my own personal time does not equal good grades. And I remember I was in Prince again. We were playing in the UC, which used to be the UC, which is now where the chapel is. We had a big show, and we, you know, with my band here, we were like all excited. We were practicing, what was the hottest song then? Anniversary was hot. Okay. We were gonna do Anniversary, and we're gonna do like Soft and Wet, right? Those are the songs we're gonna play. So that's what we Prince Soft and Wet. So, which was a whole big problem with the dean anyway, but anyway, We played it anyway, but I remember a great pianist, Willie Metcalf, who was at the school a lot and really taught us a lot of great things that actually weren't in the books. He heard me practice one day, say, "Oh, so you're gonna play 2 types of music, huh?" And I'm just like, "Yes, Mr. Metcalf." And he was upset. I was gonna say something he was very upset. And I was just like, "But I'm doing my thing." It took me a long time to figure out, and it wasn't until I left Xavier, that as a professional musician, professional songwriter, producer, all that stuff, and even when I do all my music business stuff, the discipline of I'm going to go to all of my classes, be done at 5, go home and get something to eat, and then they're going to have to throw me out of the music business building at midnight every night. Dr. Ware could definitely sign off on how many times they called his phone for me being in the building after hours, because I snuck into the building to practice. Okay, so that discipline really taught me how to deal with a music industry that really, when I entered, completely imploded. It just went away. Everything, Napster had now turned on, it was going crazy, then all kind of things shifted, and it's been volatile kind of ever since. But it gave me the discipline to figure out how to research, how to reverse engineer, literally, music theory, the science behind music theory, and how to reverse engineer a composition is the same thing that I use when I'm looking at how did this artist get here. I said, oh, okay, this plus that, and you can literally figure it out. So what the advantage is, you can discipline your mind here if you really get into it. But not only your mind, your craft, because what happens is when you get out into the real ether of performing professionally and you actually know theory, you know how to get your voice or your body to do something that someone else doesn't know how to do. You understand if you can't do it, you know the discipline of how to go and get it ready in a quick amount of time, faster than most other people do, because you've already kind of gone through the regiment of what you need to do to get to the next level. So in case anybody's wondering, how does this apply? All of this stuff works. It really does. You just have to, I'm gonna encourage you, look, I came to Xavier 2 times, and I know that sounds crazy. I was here 2.5 years. I started getting a lot of gigs, a lot of calls, like, oh, deuces, I'm out, I don't do it. Stayed out for 2.5 years, it's like, this is horrible. It's like, man, it's like when these gigs not happen, I'm doing some dumb jobs. And I was like, oh no, I'm going back, get my degree. And I went back and I did my last 2 years and I got out. But the idea again is, while you're here, absorb everything, because you're gonna need to apply it. So anybody can raise their hand and ask questions too, because time is moving by very quickly. What would you say is the most important thing, either of you, that them being now on a campus with tens of thousands of people, what could they be doing right now? I mean, and I can't speak to this class and you guys, but everybody, when I was in school, there was maybe 2 people that were actually doing things actively outside of school. It's kind of like they would only digest the meal that Xavier put on their table and they would complain about it, but they weren't developing, they weren't taking gigs, they weren't trying to bring new music in, they weren't expanding, they weren't doing any of those things. So it's like, and they thought once they graduated, things are gonna happen. It's like, no, and I'm gonna be honest, go to grad school, be a teacher. And I didn't want to do that, even though I taught for a little while. But it's still, what advice can you give them now? Because one thing I always preach to students is like, if today I actually saw thousands of people, at least 10% of those people every day would be a fan of mine. I would make sure that they were a fan of mine. Yeah, we just don't see that many people in one place anymore. It just doesn't happen. So
I think it's a few things. I think for one, y'all can start collaborating with each other, like create together. Because sometimes you need that motivation. So I always say accountability partner is great. So hey, you are amazing at this. You are amazing at this. Let's all 3 of us get in the studio and put something down. Let's vibe tonight. Let's have a little jam session. Y'all could definitely be doing jam sessions. You can do that. You could also go to open mics around the city, because there's a lot of people looking for upcoming artists and upcoming talent. And so I would say start researching what's happening. Create events on campus. in the recital room where everybody who wants to create come together. I mean, y'all can leave out of this room like on a high like none other, just from everybody, get the musicians in here, go around the room and you add something to it, and singing, songwriting sessions and stuff. Like, y'all could be doing that. And that's also, it's honing your craft, you're making those connections and networking with people that you may not have otherwise, and then you're doing something you love. So that's what I think.
That's literally the first part. I'm like, yeah, that's the exact same thing. Y'all should definitely collaborate. I'm a big fan of collaboration over competition. Like, always just make sure whatever's in the room, whatever's accessible to you. Y'all are, the resources here are rich. You know what I mean? And like, tap in with even your professor. Make sure that if you have a demo or something that you're working on, see a new perspective, because that'll introduce it in the world to more people, whatever you want to put it to the world. I also think, again, like Casmay said, getting out there, going to open mics. I'm a big fan of the MAP method, which is movement activates possibility. So like, always, going anywhere you can, because that's how you learn new things, you know what I mean? And you're put on the spot to kind of, like I was talking about earlier, improvise, you know what I mean? To see what you actually want to do, because you may not have that figured out right now. So it may be harder for you to, sit and know what you want to look up and stuff like that. But just go out there, just go. We're in New Orleans. I think y'all, what's popping. You know what I mean? Y'all should all go to Jazz Fest. Sneak in, get a ticket. Oh, don't tell anybody. But I'm just saying, do what you gotta do. First Quarter Fest. You know what I mean? Go through and see how people are moving, and then you can incorporate that to what you're comfortable with in your own life or in your own studies, and things will always correlate if you move enough to let those things happen. So
get inspiration.
Yeah.
We all need inspiration. So if you're moving around, you seeing things okay, cool. I could do this. This is something I can do. You gotta move around though. You can't stay in your own little bubble. You gotta get outside.
I think we have about 10 minutes. Questions? Anybody have any questions? Please. Somebody's got to ask a question.
Everybody has to ask one question. Starting with you. No, you're not a student. You got a question? Come on.
There's Casmay.
Come on.
She wants it. She wants
Let's
it.
go.
Question.
What you want to know?
Well, y'all answered my question. It was
Okay.
about, what to do, 'cause I'm in my bubble, I guess, because I'm not from here.
Okay.
So I don't know where to go, what to do.
Okay.
So y'all are saying open mic.
Yeah, girl. Hashtag NOLA events, NOLA jam session. Google it. Go to NOLA.com as a calendar. They tell you all kinds of stuff that's going on in the city. And most of it say free next to it. Get a little bit of research. Just a little.
And look, WWOZ, every odd hour, they list every show happening in the city every day.
definitely.
So literally is
WWOZ.
is 100 shows a night. WWOZ, if you listen every odd hour, so that's 1, 3, 5, and so on and so forth. They list the top of every hour. They list every show happening every night. Yes, sir.
What are some of the biggest people y'all have performed and recorded with?
Ooh. So I used to be a background singer and dancer for B.O.B. Yeah, B.O.B. is a beast. Yeah, I traveled with him, and he gave me an international scope of things. And so we went to Amsterdam, Paris. I was on VH1, 106 in Park performing with him. And his managers would say, I look forward to seeing you come back and be in the lead. He's like, I'm watching you more sometimes than I watch B.O.B. But that was a big influence for me. When I tell you, I think the most, we performed in front of 75,000 people, and it was just bananas. That was one of my biggest.
Who was your voice coach?
So I never
On The Voice.
on the Voice, yeah, John Legend, yeah. So we still connect and everything. So I told him, I said, after I have my baby, John, we gonna do some things, okay? Because not long after, me and my husband, husband, y'all heard that, husband. But yeah, so I'm hoping to still do something with him as well. But yeah, I wasn't like y'all. I didn't have the opportunity to sit in a music class and learn about music. I literally went to college for fashion design, interior design, and family and consumer sciences because I just love community work and stuff. So I wish I would have had a chance to start collaborating early and young with people and just learning more about technique because it's just a gift for me. So y'all are blessed to even be where you are right now. Utilize your resources.
Well, look, I realize it's your gift, but for those that do not have the confidence in themselves, how can they acquire the strength to just say, okay, I'm gonna learn what I need to learn.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use it the way I need to use it. But I'm gonna step out and just step out.
You can't be confident if you don't practice too though. Like go ahead.
Can I answer that? And it's gonna be a hard music business. Nobody can get you to do it. It has to be something you turn on. It's no way, it's nothing anybody's gonna say that's gonna deal with the fear of it, with the insecurity of it, with the doubt. It is literally the difference between the guy who is the guy who never made it and the guy who did make it. Because a lot of times the guy who's less talented is overwhelming, has a ton of confidence, and he's getting out there making mistakes, and next thing you know, he's traveling the world with the guy with all the talent. So that, I have to just be blatantly honest. And it's not that you can't get it, but there's nothing I'm gonna tell you or that I could possibly tell you to make you turn it on. You have to make an internal decision that from this day forward, win or lose, this is gonna be it. And that's the best I can say.
But it also helps to hear somebody say, you got this. So I'm telling you, you got this. You can turn it on. You can do it. God gave you the gift, and it is not to just be sat on. It's for the world to see. There's enough light outside for all of us to shine. Don't worry about competition. Be who you are. Be confident in that. Practice, 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 because that's where the confidence comes from.
Sure.
Performers.
All right. Doja Cat. G-Eazy. PJ Morton, Preservation Jazz Hall Band. Vic Mensa. Kehlani. Andre. Well, those are all performances with them. I went on tour with Kehlani. That was the first tour I ever went on. That changed my life, by the way, because that also introduced me to my current, I work with the agency for booking on certain things. Not really, most of it's all independent, but that type of thing, if it's that big of a look, then we'll work together on it to make sure that the business is right. But they introduced me to her, and it's in a ripple effect of connecting with Bay Area artists like that. Well, G-Eazy I'd already known because of down here. He went to Loyola, and the guy who produced this stuff actually went to school with me and Juan, and crazy. Shout out to Chris though. And then after that, it kind of snowballed again into PJ Morton was one of the first people to ever listen to my music and really give me honest feedback and actually record a feature for me the first time I ever sent him a record, which was amazing. And took me on tour, has taught me a lot of things about being independent because he was in a record situation that wasn't good for him and came out of it unscathed and thrived. And I learned a lot from PJ Morton. That's definitely one of my mentors now at this time. But yeah, those two. And then Doja Cat was funny because I was working with Doja Cat's producer at the time, and we were working on a few things, and he was like, yo, can I play this for Doja? And I was like, yeah, you can play this for Doja, because I had been a fan. This is before Moo. And then Moo happens, and then he's like, yo, she about to go on tour. You want to come on tour? And I was like, yeah, all right, let's do it. So that's how, it's just in talking about relationships, right? We had definitely hung out, and I'm a big fan of, once you're in it, commit yourself, you gotta commit. I try not to leave a session early, even if I have something the next day, because once I'm in that environment, you know what I mean, you have to give yourself, you have to become a conduit of that good energy or whatever energy you're trying to put out until it's done. You know what I mean? Don't cheat yourself, thinking that you can do everything in a day. Like I said before, 24 hours in a day, make it count. And with those relationships, it's also it's not about what you do, like Lou was saying, you could be the most talented. I haven't heard y'all stuff, so, I don't know yet. I'm just kidding. I know y'all are amazing. But it's not even about that sometimes. It's about, it's not about what you do, it's about how you make people feel. And sometimes you have to remind yourself that it's your job to channel whatever energy is in the room and be present in that for as long as you can be. That doesn't have to mean like I'm gonna spend 12 hours in the studio, because probably 6 of those hours are gonna be useless. You know what I mean? But until the job is done, stay there, and you'll feel like you got something out of it. Even if you're tired the next morning, even if you're unsure of like, even if it was good. You know what I mean? Because then 3 months later, you might hear that song with a different perspective and be like, oh my God, we gotta release this tomorrow. Like, you know what I mean? Or I met somebody now that can sing that hook on it, or somebody that can play that sax on it. And I think that a lot of times we try to have it all figured out before we step in, you know? But you gotta take that first step regardless. That's how a lot of these happen.
And I'll say this is a lesson I learned too when I moved away. He was talking about the studio session. Most of the time you may not even be recording. You're just in there hanging out. But that relationship you're developing is whoever you're trying to court is letting them know, am I gonna call this person again? It's not really your craft, because honestly, the way music is done nowadays, you can always find somebody to do what you need, you know? But if you can actually develop a relationship with the person, and don't be thirsty about it, just be yourself, you know, just be yourself, and either y'all gonna vibe or you're not, you know? I'll answer your question too, a lot of band heads. So I think the largest person that I've worked with, and we've done some work with, is probably Janelle Monáe. We've done work with Layla Hathaway, Avery Sunshine, and probably, I would imagine most of us can't remember everybody, but those are the three in my mind that stick out people. But
how's the Janelle Monáe?
I'll tell you a story about Janelle Monáe. I was in Atlanta, and we were in the same circles all the time. CeeLo would hang out all the time too. So we're always in the same circles. Janelle was in a very good situation where Big Boy, the other half of Outkast, basically said something about this girl. We don't know what's about her. They said, we're gonna put you in this house, just create. And that's all, that was her job. Just create. They didn't know she was, didn't know, but they just said, just create. They just knew it was something about her personality. Janelle did not go to, she was basically cleaning dorm rooms. She couldn't afford to go to college. So but she was always on campus, on the AUC there, just doing things. So she dropped her first EP, which I fell in love with because it was stretching especially for Black artists. It was a stretch, and I was like, finally somebody stretching us and allowing us to do more. No major label thing. This was before P. Diddy found her and signed her. She didn't sign her, he made a partnership with her because she negotiated it. But the story goes like this. At this time, I have a full band. When I say a full band, I have horns, congas, everything, singers, dancers, everything. And every Wednesday, it was Wednesday Wind Down, Centennial Park is a free event. Everybody's there chilling. There's a big gig for us. We're on the stage. Janelle Monáe's on the show, and we've already kind of known each other. So Janelle was early in her career, but very talented. And it was like, okay, Janelle, she's like, no, I want you guys I'm gonna open for you guys go after me. You're a whole band. And I'm just like, are you sure? Because at that time, rightfully so, everybody that was there for Janelle was she would only wear black and white. She kind of still does that. Everybody there was like in black and white with Oxfords on and stuff. It was already there. So you knew Janelle's people. So Janelle said, I'm gonna go first. Janelle Monáe hit the stage with her guitar player, a microphone, her and her manager had a smoke machine on the side of the stage. It's a big stage. She's out there performing, and she kept saying it was usually an older crowd, right? Usually on Wind Down Wednesday, they want to hear Maze, they want to hear Earth, Wind & Fire. She's coming out doing her original thing about the, whatever, and she's just, and she did her thing. I think she did an Anita Baker cover, but everything else was her. She's dancing up and down the stage, doing everything. She finished, then we get on the stage and perform, and I'm like, okay, well, we did pretty good. People had a little line going and everything. And I remember this just before CDs went out of style. We used to make a lot of money hustling those. So I'm walking around the crowd, selling CDs. I make another $500 selling CDs. And this older guy must have been in his 60s. And this changed my life, what he said. I totally redid everything I was doing with the band. He said, yeah, man, who is that girl that opened up for y'all? I was like, man, well, that's Janelle Monáe. She's great people. She's very talented. She's gone places. She's amazing. He was like, man, I'm gonna buy you a CD because I support you. You guys were good. but that girl's a star. That crushed me because I was like, it was blatant the difference. It was blatant the difference in his mind because of what she presented.
Yeah.
She presented, I'm already a star. We presented, oh, we're
Rising.
getting there. She said, no. I got a smoke machine, my guitar player, tracks, and I'm gonna do my thing. Her outfit, she would always wear her suit and her Oxford, and that was it. But it was something, it was a synergy that she just did. And so those are the little things that kind of we've been talking about the whole time, is that it's a switch, but you have to go, you have to do it, or else you'll be playing like, no offense to people who make a living like this, but you'll be playing hotel lobbies. If that's your goal, do it. But don't don't practice the hotel lobby route and expect to be a big star. It's a different path. There's two different, and I'll tell this to young musicians all the time.
It's good money though.
Yeah, no, it's great money.
Yeah,
it's a great living. I'm not saying it's not a great living, it's a great living.
You want to
but,
do more.
But what I'm saying is, and I tell this to everybody, there's a massive difference between a gigging musician and a recording artist. There's a and they're two different paths, okay? They can have the same skill set, but they're two different paths at how they go about doing it. If you're a recording artist, you're probably gonna be broke for a little while because you're investing everything back. If you're a gigging musician, you're like, oh, I made my money, bam, let's go. And then the recording artists, when they blow up, will be calling you to be in their band.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's fine, but know what you want to do, or at least start experimenting with what you want to do.
That's good.
Any more questions? We have time? Yeah. What's that?
You don't want to be a star, you don't want to be. I was getting
Exactly. That is a massive part of it because I got my foot in both. And I regret that sometimes.
I put in both, but I don't want both of them to be in there. I don't want both of them.
You do not have to be on the stage, even if you're making 10 to 20% off an artist. But if you have 10 artists, I'm just saying. So we're a little over time, but one more question. Any questions? Oh, got two. Okay, real quick. Yes, ma'am.
As a vocalist, so I'm a vocalist. So as a vocalist, what's something that you would like to say, maybe for preparing for like a show, or like maybe warming up, maybe with nerves, something?
Girl, just hire me as your vocal everything. I got you. No, I would say make it a habit to, practice every day. I know it seems weird, but you sing all the time anyway, probably when songs come on, but actually take time to do vocal warm-ups. Like, it really matters. It's kind of like athletes. They have to constantly keep working out to keep their body strong. You have to constantly keep working out to make sure your voice is on point. And you don't want to be, it depends. I don't know. You might want to be a jazz singer and you don't move and do anything. But also work out and sing at the same time. Because I'm a beast when it comes to performing, because I move around, and that's why people love Beyonce, Tina Turner. There's energy there. So start practicing now, so when you get that great opportunity to be on stage, people like, whoa, she can sing and move at the same time and dance at the same time. Just practice. Definitely practice. Yeah.
And while you're in school, I'll tell you right now, this room, I've had nightmares about this room because it's recital class, and it's hard. This is a hard room. So what I'm gonna say is engage it. This is the time now, because honestly, I don't get nervous for shows anymore because of this room. If I'm nervous because I think somebody else on my stage is gonna mess up this in my band. But I personally do not get nervous because this room, when you spend 2 years learning a piece of music and you mess up on it during that only performance you're gonna get of it, that's pressure. You know what I'm saying? But what you need to do is figure out how to almost embrace it and take all that anxiety and push it into, not adrenaline because that can mess you up, but push it into a controlled, I'm gonna eat this tonight, and really push it out that way. And I can't explain how to do that. I'm just giving you what I do and what this environment taught me,
It's your baby, nurture it. You literally, your gift is your baby. Nurture it, show it love. It's gonna love you back, I promise.
There's also an app called Vocal Ease, on iPhone, Vocal Ease, and it has warm-ups, vocal exercises and some other stuff. It's vocal and then E-A-S-E.
And create your own ritual too. Create it. I have to be, anytime I perform, I'm not the party bottles guy. I'm gonna be sitting down in the corner, I have to mellow myself way out, because if I get on that stage hype, I'm a drummer. When the adrenaline hits, I'm gonna really push through. So it's like I need to like tone myself way down, so that when I get on stage, when it kicks in, I'm within my parameters. So, but get to know yourself and figure it out. In the back, yeah.
Yeah, you guys are performers, so there's a lot of people you're working with. But I just want to know, what are some of the career options behind the stage?
Personal
Millions of
assistant,
options. There's
So many.
management.
Yeah, management. You could even be like a
PR.
stage director, or like you could do light directing. You
Set
can also
design.
do engineering, especially if you're really into the music or the sound design side of it. That's always a very interesting role,
Yes.
because like it's a wormhole. Like you could do so much with that.
Yeah, well, I'll say this: music
Yeah.
encompasses just about every career.
Everything.
My favorite sound guy is $350 a day. Just saying, you know what I'm saying?
Paid.
And he only works like
Probably.
4 hours, and it's like,
Crazy.
but I'm gonna hire him because he makes it sound the way I need it to sound.
Yeah,
so
he's familiar with video sound.
you know, so
Also, public relations.
Yeah.
The people who connect with the newspapers and the anchor women on saying, "Hey, Pell is going to be performing at the Jazz Fest next Saturday." You send out create a press release and you send it out, and you let all these different media outlets know, because we want more promotion for him, more awareness, and that's what public relations people do. We need those kind of people, assistants, all that.
A&Rs as well. If you have a good ear, you know what I mean. Like I think that's important. That's something that I even pride myself on. A lot of times, I feel like I am an A&R in terms of like one of my biggest skills is actually my ability to collaborate and like bring people in the room. So like that is a very good skill to have, and people do get paid for it, and labels hire them. Artists hire them for their individual projects as well, because they need that ear, they need that perspective of somebody who's listened to a lot of music or knows what they're going for. A&Rs are really important. So are music supervisors. Sync has been like syndication, like getting my music into movies and television has been like a really big thing. I was in Tom and Jerry last year. Shout out to, can't wait to tell my kids that whenever
very nicely placed too. You were like
In a good
coming
spot.
at the
Yeah,
end.
I'm like, it's crazy.
And it feels so
Yeah,
good
it's like the
too.
opening credits, I think. What
It's no. And
the
Tom
first song?
and Jerry is when Jerry, because he's mouse. Jerry, when he gets into his like little apartment, when he makes his apartment, he's like straightening out his mirror and it's like playing queso, and he's like also watching me on the TV. So it's my music video too.
that's
So, but crazy.
That's
But also
dope.
just crazy. But that was done because of a music supervisor, Kiara Lehman, who also works he does the music supervision for Insecure. He is like he had heard my stuff a while ago and also was putting me on to a bunch of other things. But those relationships came into fruition because these music supervisors, there's only a few syndication houses or like music supervisor teams that put these or license these tracks to be on movies and television. So it's really important. Yeah, it's like they need people to actually commit to it.
And to find the music, like
yeah.
literally go through, because some people sit around and go through catalogs on Reverb Nation and SoundCloud, because that's how they found one of my joints for BET's Hustle in Brooklyn. I recorded the song in like 2004, and then in 2019, it came out, and I'm like, I didn't even know, like I had no idea. That's another thing, a lawyer. We need music lawyers to make sure we get our coins. Yeah, BMI, copyright, publishing.
It's a lot. There's a whole lot. Yes, sir. Yeah. This is the last one, guys. I'm sorry. We're over time.
Well, I didn't really have a question. I really wanted to express gratitude for you guys coming back and sharing this information.
Thank you, man.
How it really looks behind the scene. When you said that your music was on Tom and Jerry and light bulb and all, but I was like, hell, I do know Phil. I do know Queso. That was the first song I heard.
Wow.
Yes, and the first time I heard it was on Tom and Jerry. I was listening to the soundtrack and I was like, this is a great movie. I love the soundtrack. So then I went and found your song and saved it in my library.
That's
So-
awesome.
Beautiful.
What's your name? What's your name?
And follow us on Instagram. You guys can ask us questions.
Yeah.
I mean, I do my own social media.
Well, let's close out with that. You know where they can find you.
I am Casme. I'm big on affirmations. I am CASME, and I do have a boot camp for indie artists, like from songwriting and stage presence to help you get rid of the fear and all of that stuff. I'm an open book. I'm very transparent. I also do one-on-one consultations. If you just want to pick my brain, I'll answer anything. So any resources that I have, I'll share with you. I am Casmay.
I'm at Pell Yeah. Can I get a Pell Yeah? Pell Yeah? See, yeah, I do that on my shows and stuff. So it's at Pell Yeah. I get my jokes off. I also have a little bit of informational stuff on there, but mainly that's for the brand and that's for the performance stuff that I do in my releases. But I'm always down to connect. We talked about it briefly earlier, the rap label / collective, Global Warming. We're also working on a new project, so it would be good to have young talent on there as well, even, in the room and just seeing, so exactly. So definitely feel free to reach out if you need anything, for sure.
You're a French Quarter, right?
No, I'm actually at the hospital. No, I'm just kidding. I'm getting ready to have this baby, so I kind of held off on some things. Yeah.
Casmay performs all over the place. You need to check her out. Pell, when do you perform at French Quarter Fest?
I am not performing at French Quarter Fest. Global is,
Yeah.
and that is on Saturday and Sunday. We have 2 different performances. We have one stage, Gumbo Juice stage, which is the Jack Daniels stage, right? That's his stage, actually. Juan put that together. And all of 3 Global Warming, 4, all the people performing are on the Global Warming Project. And then Sunday we have Alfred Banks and Albert, which is Sax Kicks Ave, will be there as well. I perform at Jazz Fest on May 7th. That's the second Saturday. Also, we are selling these.
Hell, sure.
Yeah, we got the Jazz Fest tees, 2022. $40 on my website.
Come on, $40.
Hey, only $40. Quality. Look at this.
You might even autograph it for you.
Yeah, pre-washed too. You get like a couple of cycles, 1 or 2 cycles. There's a little, autograph. Won't fade on you. It's beautiful. It's vintage. So yeah, definitely check me out. May 7th. Erykah Badu is that night too, so it's gonna be.
And you're performing tonight, right, sir?
Yes.
Oh, you are.
Talk
Come
about it.
For those who don't know, I know you guys see me running around here helping out. The name of the band is Water Seed. We're at Water Seed Music on Instagram. Tonight, 6:30, we're closing out the Chevron stage at French Quarter Fest, and we're French Quarter Fest on Saturday next week, which is the 30th. So yeah, come out, but yeah, check it out. You guys, my information is very available. I think all your professors have my information if you need any help, need anything. Also, there are a few of you who were, again, diversifying the people you know and the people you work with that were cast for the Interview with a Vampire thing. All of that is relationships. All of it's relationships. So develop them and let's go.
I want to get a selfie with everybody. Y'all stay where you are. B.O.B. used to do this after every show, and I love it. I'm like, that's right, include everybody in the moment. Come on.
Y'all want to get in there?
Come on. All right, let's see. Everybody, see if you can squeeze in. Come on, Lori. Where you at? There we go. Oh, we go, babies. Come on, everybody. Xavier in the house, okay? All right, come on down a little bit. Just come down. Yeah, there we go. So we get the people behind. All right, see that was a video right there. Hold tight.
Oh, you got a video.
Now we gonna do the picture. I got y'all moving in. Okay. All right, here we go on the count of 3. And a 1 and a 2.
There you go.
Beautiful.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Guys,
Before we leave, everybody.
Look, this was great. I was so excited about getting them started with all of this that I neglected to tell you this is the beginning of our jazz festival here. And we're doing the clinic portion this morning. And we've got Dr. White coming in to discuss traditional clarinet. And then at the 2 o'clock hour, Steve Mezlikowski is going to do the advanced jazz improvisation clinic. And later tonight, we have our jazz ensemble concert where we're going to feature, first off, we're going to start off with traditional jazz, where we're going to have Michael White and the original Liberty Jazz Band play the first portion of the concert. There will not be an intermission. We're going to go straight through the whole concert. As soon as they finish, we're going to have Dr. Vasilovich play some piano for us, and then after he plays, then we're gonna bring on up our jazz ensemble. We'll play a couple of numbers, and then we're gonna bring in Steve Mezakowski as our guest jazz guitarist. If you can please come, if you can come out, please come on out. And also too, it's going to be streamed live tonight. So if you can't come out, you can get that, you can get the live stream, and you can check it out later on anytime you get an opportunity. Look, help me thank our guests again. I tell you, Lou brings them out, don't he? He brings them out for us, and every time he does, we have a fantastic panel. And look, guys, thank you so much. I loved it. And it was an excellent presentation. So look, hey, happy Jazz Festival. And look, we want to love that baby, bring that baby by here.
Baby come sing for y'all. The baby coming out singing, okay? On y'all way out though, I want y'all to repeat after me. Say, I am special. I am destined for greatness. Say, I am strong. I am focused. I am unique. I am enough. Now love yourself. Come on, love on yourself. Come on. Y'all have a blessed one. God bless everybody. Thank you, Lord, for having us.